Hi guys, it's April and Happy New Year. It is 2023, which is very bizarre to even think about, but it also means I'm starting a new coloring page. I put out a poll at the beginning of this week with 4 different images on it asking what you guys wanted to see me color next. The first one I was feeling kind of the wintry vibes, and I think it's because we had that like polar vortex thing come through, and we were freezing for quite a while, and so my brain was on winter and snow and all that kind of stuff. So excuse me. So the first picture I pulled was this Beauty and the Beast page where they've got that winter scene. And I think another reason that this one came to mind was because Disney just released their like 30-year celebration thing, and I was feeling Beauty and the Beast. So this was my first pick for you guys to choose from. I then had two in this Inspired by Nature book because I haven't colored in this one yet. I've got a page colored in this one. Oh my goodness. Do I? No, I think I had another page picked out that I was thinking about coloring and didn't do it. It must be the other Disney coloring book that's this size that I have a page colored in. It's one of the Sleeping Beauty coloring pages. So I guess all of these I have yet to color in. So whatever one won, I was going to be excited about coloring. But I picked two in this one because there's something about, I don't know, these brown lines instead of the standard black lines that I really wanted to play with. So there's this cute little adorable mouse. So I'm like, that would be fun. And then there's also this deer scene. Now, I did throw this deer scene in on a whim. Wasn't 100% sure how I felt about this one. And uh, the voting showed that you guys weren't sure about this one as well. This one was the lowest voted for one. And I get it. It's not that exciting of a scene. So don't blame me for that. And then we've got Dreamweaver. And in this one, I believe it's like clear at the end here. We've got this polar bear. Now, I have done crystals in the past, and it has taken me ages and a half. But this one looked like it wasn't nearly as overwhelming with crystals. Plus, it had this polar bear that reminds me so much of the bear in his Dark Materials that I had to pull this page and see if you guys wanted to color this one too. And surprisingly, the most votes, the top 2 pages that were voted for in the polls was Disney and Dreamweaver, which Disney, it didn't really surprise me because I know how complex this coloring book is. All of the Disney Kinkade coloring books seem so overwhelming, especially if you want to, emulate what's on the other page. And so I know a lot of people like seeing these kind of pages done. But what surprised me was how this page, Dreamweaver, started like really popping on the voting. And I think it's because a good chunk of you have this coloring book and you would love to like color with me in it. So I think this is of course both of these are probably going to appear in the voting again at some point. But unsurprisingly, I think you guys can kind of guess what won by an overwhelming majority. About half the people pretty much voted for this, and that is Beauty and the Beast in this Disney princess coloring book. I will definitely bring Dreamweaver back at some point because, like I said, this one hasn't been colored in yet, and I want to color in it. So this one will come back. And since the last Kinkade photo that I did was his clock tower cottage, and I did a light gouache cover on it to like knock back those lines so I could get some really crisp things with some colored pencil. I think I'm going to try this in this coloring book as well. So I do have my gouache out. So as soon as I can get this, I figured it would be good to get that gouache layer down today so that next time it'll be dry and we can get into coloring this page. I was thinking that I was just going to bring out my Holbeins and my polychromos like I have done on most of the images I've done with Kinkade. I have found some conversion charts that might be helpful if you don't have those colors. So when I'm coloring, I will link those conversion charts down below. I know a lot of people have the Prismacolors. I actually don't have Prismacolors, so I can't necessarily tell you where that conversion is, but I will link to conversions for other colored pencils from the ones that I am using, so that if you do want to attempt this page with me, you certainly can. I have no idea how this is going to go. This is usually how it happens with Kinkade photos, is I just have to do it little chunks at a time and it slowly becomes this bigger picture. So I'm going to get this in the back so I don't accidentally ruin the page behind it. I've got my, scoot this over a little bit. So I am going to be using the Winsor and Newton gouache. This is, like I said, zinc white. This is what I used in that clock tower photo. I will pull that out after I get a gouache layer down on this so you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about if you haven't seen that yet. But essentially all I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this gouache and then I'm going to dilute it a little bit with some water. And I'm just going to spread it completely across this page. And I don't want to completely white out the lines. I still want to see the lines. But I want to start just knocking them back. I'm just going to get a bunch of water. Okay. And last time I think there were spots where I just got a little too thick with the gouache. And some of those lines disappeared more than I wanted them to. So I'm going to try and be a little more careful than I was previously. Okay. And I want to make sure to get it really, really thin. Part of the reason I'm using such a big brush is so I can do this quick and I can do this even. Like I said, you can still see those lines. But they're not going to be as intrusive because before previously on the other two Disney pictures I have done, I have tried just knocking back certain parts with like a Posca white, and that certainly works. But it's really nice to start from an already lighter line. I've got to mix up a little bit more of this. I did not make enough. The fun part will be trying to get it the same translucency. Like I said, I will, as soon as I'm done here, I'll let this dry. And this will be something we will start coloring next weekend. This brush has seen a lot of life. So it is a little bent, but it gets the job done. Oh, and I just left a... There we go. Don't want to... It's falling apart apparently, because that was a piece of the brush. Okay, it looks uneven right now, but that's because some of it is a little bit drier than the rest of it. But I think that will work. But before I call it here, I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. Try not to trip over the dogs. So my first ever Kinkade photo was in this Disney coloring book. And I did this page. In this page, I did not knock back any of the lines. I just kind of worked around the lines. This is all done, I believe, with just polychromos. I don't remember if I had my Holbeins at this time. But it goes to show you that you can actually do pretty okay without knocking back those lines at all. You can kind of get some of the effect, but it's just there's a softness to Kinkade's work that you can't get with these very bold lines that they've put in these coloring books. So I started playing around when I did this Rapunzel photo. Page, whatever you want to call it. Let's see if I can find it. And this was when I started doing a mixture of letting the lines be and then knocking some back with some Posca. I don't even know if it'll fit there. So there are definitely sections where I worked with the lines, but there are also sections there, especially like around the lanterns and stuff like that and the clouds, where I tried to knock those lines back a little bit with the Posca. And overall, I really like how this turned out. But I was still a little bit like, well, it's not quite where Kinkade is, so what can I do with that? Which led me to the beginning of last year and doing just Kinkade. No Disney. And this clock tower. So this is the first page I did where, I'm trying not to put this on the wet page, the picture completely with a gouache cover over top, and then I colored it. Now, I did a little bit more of a heavy hand on this page than I did on the Disney page I just did. And while it worked, it was hard trying to find the lines again. And I don't necessarily, I think I went too far with some of the coats of gouache on this one. And I was kind of making things up and trying to look like really, really close. I'm like, am I in the right spot? But what I do like about the effect of using gouache before I start coloring a page is you can't see it, but there's like a canvas kind of texture going on this page underneath that colored pencil that makes it feel like a painting, even though, like I said, I use colored pencil. There are some things you kind of have to adapt when you're coloring a page on top of gouache with colored pencils. Like in the sky, I couldn't quite get the color payoff that I wanted, so I ended up using a little bit of watercolor over top of the colored pencils. And I think that worked very, very well. I don't know if I'll have to do it on this page right here, but maybe. So it just gives you a little bit more room to wiggle, room to play. And I'm just going to continue to let this dry. I'll probably like put something heavy on it so that that curl goes away. In fact, I probably don't even need this anymore because I did such a light layer and it's pretty much drying at this point. So, are you guys excited about this being the pick for the beginning of 2023? I know a lot of you really like to see Kinkade done, so I hope you will join me in coloring this one. Otherwise, tell me if what you voted for, if this wasn't, something that you're super excited about. And I will definitely put it back in the voting, or if there's something else completely that wasn't in the poll that you would love to see me do, of course, let me know, and I will definitely put it on the list of things to happen soon. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a wonderful start of your year. I will be back again next weekend, and we will start coloring this page. I will start pulling colors for what I think each of these sections are. Normally, I start with a big object and I work from there, and it might be Belle herself because she's got that gorgeous pink dress that is just calling my name right now. So we'll probably start with Belle and kind of shift because there's a lot of like creamy white tones in this page. So I want to start with those bold colors. It's just how I roll. So I do hope to see you guys again next weekend. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here, and I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.